The first 24 hours are the most important in any search and rescue or SAR operation. In Module 3 of the Iowa Task Force 1 video training series, you'll learn about proper management steps and initial actions to take in a variety of search scenarios. This course identifies the incident command system and outlines action plans, available resources, and how to keep teams safe. Many of the techniques implemented in this module are described in more detail in Module 2. Make sure you review and understand that content before proceeding. The first thing you need to remember in any search and rescue incident is the acronym LAST, representing the phases of a SAR event: locate, access, stabilize, and transport. The National Park Service, which completes thousands of SAR operations each year, uses a Management Action Plan, or MAP document, to guide their deployments. Their initial actions include investigation, containment, and search. Remember, during a missing or lost person event, searches are commonly performed in a rural setting over a large area. In a wilderness search, the number of subjects is typically known.
Wilderness searches provide unique challenges for the searcher, and specifically more so for a missing or a lost person. A 2-year-old taken off, an elderly running away from a nursing home. One of the first priorities for us is to contain that subject in that wilderness area so they don't get any further out.
A wide area search, which is also in a large geographical area, is usually performed after a disaster such as a tornado where we don't know how many individuals may be affected. In either type of search and rescue operation, the initial action should be to identify command. Determine who is in charge. The County Sheriff's Department is usually responsible for missing or lost person search and rescue events in Iowa. Depending on the nature of the SAR event and available resources, other departments or individuals may be selected to lead the incident command system. Investigation begins by developing a thumbnail sketch of the subject that includes photos of the missing person or persons. Next, the investigation should examine priority considerations, such as the subject's age, medical condition, subject's experience profile, weather conditions, how appropriate the clothing and equipment used by the subject is, and terrain or other hazards faced.
A situation that you would have an Alzheimer's patient. Normally confusion is involved due to their ailment, so maybe a lack of protection from the weather. So the urgency would then become paramount for that situation.
These factors are all weighed to determine the search urgency. This standardized numeric rating system provides a planning tool to escalate the response and deploy the appropriate resources. Once the initial profile sketch and search urgencies are completed, a more in-depth lost person questionnaire should be completed. This form helps the investigation team fill in the gaps from the quick profile and may help determine specific clues that will help guide search and rescue teams. An important section of the lost person questionnaire is to obtain cell phone information about the lost subject. Cell phone forensics can often lead to location clues or other vital information. Other key information recorded in the lost person questionnaire is the LKP, or last known point, which is the location where the subject was last seen based on credible information or evidence. The PLS, or point last seen, is the last location that an eyewitness saw the subject. While the LKP and PLS may change during the investigation through discovery of clues or new eyewitnesses coming forward, the IPP, or initial planning point, should always stay the same for continuity of search operations.
From there, all operations would then be conducted. You have to have a spot on the geographic map to begin your operation from.
Getting the word out is an important tool in the initial stages of a SAR operation. You should consider disseminating initial information about the lost subject through local media stations, flyers, Amber Alerts, social media websites, mass notification systems, and door-to-door in nearby communities. Containment is another important initial action. This is the process of using the LKP and PLS information to try to confine the subject to a certain area and keep the search area from expanding.
We want to minimize the search area. So the longer that person or persons have to wander around, the bigger the search area becomes. So we want to minimize that.
With a subject traveling at 2 miles per hour, the theoretical search area can expand quickly in a short amount of time. In just 3 hours, a search area can grow to more than 113 square miles. Quick searches of high probability locations, often called hasty searches, are performed in the initial phases of a SAR event. They involve small teams of 2 to 4 searchers moving quickly along travel aids and established routes. It is clue conscious, which means searchers are looking for subjects or clues identified in the investigation. It is a fast initial response that is about speed rather than level of coverage. Hasty searches may be conducted on foot, on horseback, using bicycles, all-terrain vehicles, boats, or aircraft. If many search and rescue actions feel like they need to happen at the same time, it's because they do. Concurrent actions, while not as high priority as initial actions, should be completed as soon as time and resources allow. They include identifying the ICP, or Incident Command Post, initiating the IAP, or Incident Action Plan, establishing the search area, segmenting the search area, and managing volunteers. The ICP is the location where all SAR operations are planned, managed, and directed. It's where teams prepare the Incident Action Plan, develop priorities for where to search, conduct briefings, and maintain a list of resources. Paperwork is a part of every first responder's job. The sooner you can start putting your plan on paper, the better. The Incident Action Plan, or IAP, is not only required by law, it plays a vital role in managing a successful search and rescue operation. Please familiarize yourself with these forms. Examples are available on the Resources section of iowataskforce1.org. To establish search areas, teams initially use subjective methods and deductive reasoning. More advanced methods for establishing search areas are available and used by next-level SAR resources. PLS and LKP locations are identified and search areas are defined on topographical maps using standard georeferencing coordinates. Segmenting and identifying the search area allows SAR teams to be more efficient. Use identifiable natural landmarks such as streams, ridges, and valleys, or travel aids like roads, trails, and railroad lines. Highly visible landmarks such as water towers, fence lines, and other man-made structures can also be used to define segments. Segments should be sized to allow effective searching within an operational time frame, and they should be prioritized and marked based on the probability of location or how likely it is that the subject could be in this segment. If there's one thing you can count on in a search and rescue operation, it's that people want to help. Make sure you have a plan and a system to manage volunteers before they arrive.
A lot of good people will come when there's a missing person. Identify your more trained volunteers and put them into more high probable areas.
Establish a check-in procedure for volunteers. Also, establish a typing and credentialing system for incoming resources and volunteers. This way you can make sure appropriate resources are deployed to high-probability search areas based on their experience, equipment, and physical ability. Successive actions are designed to help SAR teams predict incident expansion and resource needs. Be sure you are conducting planning meetings and situation updates to review incident objectives and weather conditions on an ongoing basis. Safety of search teams and volunteers is of the utmost importance. Be sure you are employing LCES as part of every incident action plan. L is for using lookouts to watch for hazards and maintaining situational awareness. C stands for communications between all resources to communicate threats to safety of all personnel. E is for establishing escape routes for vehicles and teams. Personnel should know the primary escape route as well as alternate escapes to safety zones. And S stands for pre-designated safety zones that provide safety and accountability for all personnel. Most search and rescue incidents conclude with the subject being located. More rarely, the subject is not located and the SAR incident needs to transition to a limited mode. No matter what the outcome of a search and rescue incident, it is important to conduct a post-incident after-action review. This step helps identify positive outcomes of the operation and look for areas of improvement to be used in the next mission. Having a plan makes all the difference for effective search and rescue management. In this training module, you learned which actions should be deployed first during a search and rescue incident and how to balance concurrent and successive actions for a successful conclusion. Module 4 in our training series covers next-level resources available to search and rescue teams. More resources are always available on our website at iowataskforce1.org.